Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop and think, not just about how long you might live, but, how well, the energy, the sharpness, the sheer enjoyment of those years? Because that question right there, that's really at the heart of longevity science today, and it's moving incredibly fast. So today, we're doing a deep dive into a whole stack of fascinating sources. We've got the foundational stuff, the bedrock health principles, all the way to some pretty mind-bending biotech. And our mission really is to give you a clear path through it all, help you understand what's genuinely important for healthy aging, cut through the hype, and hopefully give you insights you can actually use.
It really taps into something fundamental, doesn't it? We all want to live longer, sure, but I think most people, deep down, want to feel good while they're doing it. And that's where the real aha moment comes in this field, understanding that critical difference between just lifespan and health span.
Exactly. So let's cut through that noise and get straight to what the science is telling us about aging well. Let's really unpack that distinction first. Health span versus lifespan. So, lifespan. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's just the number, how many years you live, full stop.
Quantitative, like how many candles are on the cake. Your grandmother lived to 95. That's her lifespan. Simple as that.
But, and this is the crucial, but living a long time doesn't automatically mean living well for all that time. Which brings us to health span. This is about the quality. How long do you live in reasonably good health? Years free from debilitating disease, chronic pain, major disability.
So taking that grandmother example again, if she lived to 95, but maybe those last, say, 20 years involved serious mobility issues or memory loss, constant pain.
Right, then her health span might have only been 75. And that leaves a 20-year gap. 20 years where the quality of life just wasn't what it could have been.
That's a long time.
It is. And historically, medicine often focused, perhaps understandably, on just extending that lifespan number, even if someone was living with significant illness. But now there's this huge shift. The question has become, how do we stay healthier for longer? How do we push that period of decline if it comes right to the very end? Sometimes called compression of morbidity.
Right, squeezing the bad years, basically.
Yeah.
Let's make it concrete. Imagine two people, both reach 85. You've got Joe, lifespan 85. But maybe his health really started declining around 65. Diabetes, bad joints, maybe some cognitive issues. Life gets smaller, harder.
A 20-year health span gap there.
Then you have Maria, same lifespan, 85. But she's sharp, active, maybe still travels, exercises, avoids major illness until, say, 82 or 83.
Her health span almost matches her lifespan, much smaller gap. She's living well for nearly all those years.
So the big takeaway for you listening, modern longevity science isn't just some abstract quest for immortality. It's very practical. It's about staying sharp mentally, moving freely, being independent, dodging those common age-related diseases for as long as possible.
Exactly. The goal, scientifically speaking, is to maximize that health span to lifespan ratio. Or, put simply, live long and feel good doing it. Maximize vitality.
Okay, so before we jump into the really futuristic stuff, the cutting-edge tech, let's ground ourselves. What do we already know works? What does the science confirm right now helps extend health span?
These are the non-negotiables, the foundations. Honestly, they're incredibly powerful biological tools in their own right.
Pillar number one, exercise. You hear it all the time, but the saying holds true. If exercise were a pill, it'd be the most prescribed drug on the planet. And it's not just one type, is it? You need that mix.
Definitely. You need the aerobic or cardio, walking, running, cycling, great for your heart, brain, metabolism.
And strength training, weights, body weight exercises. That's crucial for keeping muscle mass, strong bones, and it helps with insulin sensitivity too.
Right. And don't forget flexibility and balance. Things like yoga, stretching, super important for preventing falls as we get older, maintaining agility.
But how does it work? What's happening inside?
Oh, it's remarkable, really. At a cellular level, exercise is like a master switch for health. It dials down chronic inflammation, a major driver of aging. It boosts factors in the brain, like BDNF, that help keep you sharp, slow cognitive decline. It makes your body much better at handling blood sugar, slashing diabetes risk.
And muscle isn't just for moving, right?
Not at all. Muscle acts like an endocrine organ, releasing protective molecules called myokines that benefit your other organs. Plus, exercise triggers cellular repair processes, improves mitochondrial health. It's a whole cascade of benefits. It's hormesis, essentially a beneficial stress.
So bottom line, get moving in different ways. It's literally slowing down aging at the cellular level, like recharging your biological batteries. Okay, pillar two, nutrition. So much confusion here, so many fads.
Forget the fads. The consistent message from longevity science is about whole, anti-inflammatory foods. Think of food less as just calories and more as information for your cells. It literally tells your genes what to do.
So what patterns stand out?
The Mediterranean diet is a consistent winner in studies. Lots of olive oil, veggies, fruits, beans, nuts, fish, minimal red meat, processed stuff. It's strongly linked to lower rates of heart disease, cancer, even Alzheimer's.
And specific foods.
Yeah, focusing on anti-inflammatory powerhouses helps. Things like turmeric, ginger, berries, leafy greens, fatty fish like salmon.
What about things like caloric restriction or intermittent fasting? We hear a lot about those.
Good question. Caloric restriction, or CR, eating less without being malnourished, shows powerful lifespan extension in many animal models. It seems to improve metabolic health, lower inflammation.
But it's tough for humans.
Very tough long-term, and not right for everyone, like the elderly or those with low BMI, which leads to interest in intermittent fasting, IF, like the 16.8 method, eating in time windows. IF seems to trigger some similar benefits, like boosting cellular cleanup that's called autophagy and improving insulin sensitivity. Again, still needs more long-term human data and isn't for everybody. There's also research into drugs that mimic CR, like rapamycin, but that's more experimental.
Okay, so the core message seems to be focus on whole, plant-rich, anti-inflammatory foods. Quality matters. And maybe when and how much you eat plays a role too, right? Pillar 3, this one. Maybe the most underrated. Sleep and stress management.
Absolutely critical, and probably just as powerful as diet and exercise, yet often the first thing to go when life gets busy. Non-negotiable for long-term health.
Why is sleep so important?
Well, during deep sleep, your brain actually performs a cleanup. It flushes out metabolic waste products, including beta amyloid, which is linked to Alzheimer's disease. Sleep also regulates critical hormones, hunger hormones, stress hormones, metabolism, mood, immune function. It affects almost everything.
And poor sleep actively ages us.
The evidence points that way. Chronic poor sleep, like consistently getting less than 6 hours, is linked to faster telomeres, shortening those protective caps on our DNA, fraying faster, and of course, higher risk of many chronic diseases.
And stress, chronic stress.
Yeah, chronic stress is a killer, basically. It keeps your cortisol levels high, which promotes belly fat, can damage brain cells over time, ramps up inflammation, and suppresses your immune system. It absolutely accelerates aging and increases risk for heart disease, depression, cognitive decline. The list goes on.
But there are tools, right? Things you can do.
Definitely. Things like meditation, simple breathwork exercises, having a consistent sleep schedule, strong social connections, spending time in nature, hobbies. These aren't soft things. They actively buffer stress and improve resilience.
So the big takeaway here, don't neglect sleep and stress. They are foundational. You really don't need fancy tech or a lab coat to start making huge strides in your health span today with these 3 pillars. Exercise, nutrition, and sleep stress management.
They form the bedrock. Everything else builds on this.
Okay, now for the really exciting part. Where is the science heading? What's on the horizon for actually intervening in the aging process itself? Let's start with something called senolytics, clearing out zombie cells. What's that about?
Yeah, zombie cells is a catchy term. They're technically called senescent cells. These are basically old, damaged cells that should die off through a natural process, but they don't. They resist death. And worse, they hang around secreting inflammatory molecules and other harmful stuff that damages the healthy cells nearby. Like, as you said, a rotten apple spoiling the bunch.
So senolytics, they target these cells.
Exactly. Senolytics are compounds, could be drugs, could be natural substances that are designed to selectively find and eliminate these senescent cells while leaving healthy cells unharmed.
Any examples?
Well, some natural compounds like fisetin, found in strawberries, show promise. There are drug combinations like dasatinib and quercetin being studied, and newer molecules too. In animal studies, particularly mice, clearing these cells has led to some really remarkable results: improved heart function, better fitness, even extended lifespan in some cases. Early human trials are now happening, looking at conditions like frailty or specific age-related diseases.
But there are caveats.
Always. For one, not all senescent cells are necessarily bad all the time. Some play roles in things like wound healing or preventing cancer initially. So the approach needs to be targeted. And of course, long-term safety in humans is still the big question mark. Needs more research.
Okay, moving on. Epigenetic clocks and biomarkers of aging. This sounds complex. Why not just look at how old someone is?
Because chronological age, the number of birthdays you've had, only tells part of the story. We all know a 50-year-old who seems biologically 40 and another who seems much older. That difference is biological age.
So how do we measure that?
Through biomarkers. These are measurable things in your body, blood tests, imaging, etc., that give clues about your underlying health and aging processes. Think markers for inflammation like C-reactive protein, growth factors like IGF-1, immune cell counts, maybe even telomere length. AI is getting really good at analyzing patterns in these markers to predict risk.
And epigenetic clocks.
Right. So your DNA sequence itself doesn't really change much as you age, but your epigenome does. These are chemical tags or marks on your DNA, like little sticky notes that tell your genes whether to be switched on or off. As we age, the pattern of these sticky notes changes in predictable ways. Epigenetic clocks read these patterns, specifically DNA methylation patterns, to estimate your biological age. Famous ones include the Horvath clock, Grimmage.
And there's one that measures the speed of aging.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The Dundon-Pace clock, for example. It tries to estimate how fast your body is biologically aging right now, like a biological speedometer.
Yeah.
Are you aging 1 biological year per calendar year, or maybe slower, like 0.8 biological years,
Oh,
or faster?
wow. Okay, why does measuring this stuff matter so much?
Oh, huge implications. First, personalization. Knowing your biological age or your pace of aging could allow you to tailor interventions, diet, exercise, maybe future therapies, and then track if they're actually working to slow down your aging. Second, for clinical trials, it gives researchers a way to measure if a new drug or intervention is actually impacting the aging process itself, not just treating one symptom.
Makes sense.
And third, public health. Understanding population aging trends helps governments plan healthcare resources, maybe focus on prevention. The economic implications are massive. Too slowing aging could save trillions in healthcare costs down the line.
So the old saying holds.
Yeah.
You can't manage what you don't measure. And aging is becoming measurable.
Yeah.
And potentially modifiable.
Exactly. Now, quickly, let's touch on mTOR inhibitors, particularly rapamycin.
Right. What's the deal there?
mTOR is a key pathway in our cells that regulates growth and metabolism. It's essential, but if it's overactive, particularly later in life, it seems to accelerate aging processes and contribute to age-related diseases.
Ah.
Rapamycin is a drug known to inhibit mTOR. It's shown pretty robust lifespan extension in various animal models, including mice. Now, there are human trials underway, like the Pearl study, looking at whether it can improve Healthspan markers in people.
Still experimental, though.
Absolutely. It's a prescription drug with potential side effects, and the long-term effects of inhibiting mTOR in humans aren't fully understood. Definitely not something to casually experiment with. Needs careful study.
Okay. And one more emerging area. The gut microbiome. Our gut bacteria.
Yes, trillions of microbes living in your gut. This inner ecosystem profoundly impacts digestion, immunity, inflammation levels, even your brain health and mood.
And it changes as we age.
It does. Generally, as we get older, the diversity of our gut microbiome tends to decrease. We lose some beneficial species and maybe gain less helpful ones. This shift is linked to increased inflammaging, that chronic, low-grade inflammation, and potentially reduced immune resilience.
So a healthy gut is key for longevity.
The connections are becoming increasingly clear. A diverse, balanced microbiome seems to support better metabolism, a stronger immune system, maybe even slower cognitive decline. We're seeing interventions like specific probiotics, prebiotics, food for good bacteria, and even things like fecal microbiota transplants, which have shown some dramatic results in animal aging studies. Still early days for human anti-aging applications, though.
So wrapping up this section, it's fascinating. Senolytics, epigenetic clocks, mTOR, the microbiome. These aren't replacing the basics like exercise and diet.
Not at all. They're building on them. The really exciting shift is moving beyond just treating the diseases of aging towards understanding and potentially targeting the underlying processes of aging itself. It's a paradigm shift.
Absolutely. And it's not just happening in isolated labs anymore, is it? There's serious momentum, serious money, and global initiatives pushing this forward.
That's right. The scale is pretty unprecedented. Take the XPRIA for Healthspan. That's a $101 million prize. It's challenging teams to demonstrate within just 12 months a therapy that can significantly improve muscle, cognitive, and immune function in older adults.
$100 million. That focuses minds.
It really does. It pushes for solutions that are scalable, safe, accessible. Then you have the big tech players and biotech billionaires jumping in. Jeff Bezos backing Altos Labs, focusing on cellular reprogramming. Google's Calico has been working on aging biology for years.
And that Saudi-backed
The
foundation?
Evolution Foundation, yeah. Committing $1 billion a year to aging science globally. That kind of funding accelerates research dramatically.
Plus governments are getting involved.
We're seeing national aging strategies pop up in the US, UK, Singapore, Japan. Governments recognizing the huge societal and economic impact of aging populations and the need for proactive health span strategies.
And then closer to the consumer, you have the rise of longevity clinics.
Yes, offering personalized testing, supplements, IV drips, hormone optimization, sometimes even off-label use of drugs being studied for aging.
Important caveat there, though.
Definitely. Quality and regulation can vary hugely. Some clinics are very science-based, others maybe less so. It's crucial for people to be discerning consumers and understand the evidence behind what's offered. Not all that glitters is gold.
So the big picture here is, this isn't fringe science anymore. It's becoming a major focus of investment and innovation. The question isn't if these technologies will impact aging, but when, how, and importantly, for whom they'll be available.
Precisely. These initiatives are shaping the future landscape of health span interventions.
Now, you mentioned cellular reprogramming with Altos Labs. Let's touch on that, and gene therapy. This sounds like really radical stuff.
Right.
Resetting the clock.
It is radical. Building on work that won a Nobel Prize, the discovery of Yamanaka factors that can turn adult cells back into stem cells, researchers are exploring partial cellular reprogramming. The idea isn't to turn cells all the way back to an embryonic state, which carries cancer risks, but to sort of refresh them, wind back the epigenetic clock partway.
Has it worked?
In mice, yes. Studies, like some from David Sinclair's lab, have shown partial reprogramming can rejuvenate tissues, improve organ function, even restore vision in aged mice by reversing some epigenetic changes. It's like giving cells a biological reboot.
In gene therapy, that's different.
Slightly different goal. Gene therapy typically aims to fix or replace specific faulty genes that cause disease. For aging, the focus might be on genes involved in specific age-related conditions. Human trials are already happening for things like genetic forms of blindness and exploring potential for Alzheimer's or other diseases.
The promise sounds almost sci-fi. Repairing damage, restoring function.
The potential is enormous, yes. But the hurdles are equally significant. Most of this reprogramming success is still in mice. Getting these therapies safely and effectively into the right human cells is a massive challenge. There's still the tumor risk with reprogramming if it goes too far. Gene therapies are incredibly complex and currently astronomically expensive.
And ethical questions.
Huge ethical questions, especially around anything that could affect the germline changes passed down to future generations. So while the science is incredibly exciting, widespread human anti-aging applications through these methods are still quite far off. It's fundamental research right now.
Which brings us to a crucial point. Promises versus proof. With all this excitement, how do we stay grounded? What should you, the listener, be skeptical about?
Great question. It's vital to be a discerning consumer of health information here. First, big thing. Remember the mice to men gap?
Animal studies don't always translate.
Exactly. Human aging is way more complex than mouse aging. A finding in mice is a clue, an important first step, but it's not proof it works the same way or safely in humans. Many promising results in mice haven't panned out in people or had unexpected side effects.
Okay, what else?
Beware the biohacking buzz versus actual scientific consensus. You see trends online, NAD plus IV drips, certain peptides, hyperbaric oxygen, red light therapy. Some might have some preliminary evidence for something, but often the claims vastly outstrip the robust long-term human data.
And the risk there.
Wasting money, for one, but also getting a false sense of security that makes you neglect the proven basics: exercise, diet, sleep. And sometimes there can be unknown risks or interactions. Also, consider the placebo effect and healthy user bias. People who actively seek out longevity treatments are often already highly motivated and doing lots of other healthy things.
So it's hard to know what's actually causing the benefit.
Right. Is it the fancy supplement or the fact they also started eating clean and sleeping better? The placebo effect itself is incredibly powerful. That's why we need those rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies to really know if something works.
And finally, patience.
Yes. Remember the golden rule. Science moves slowly. Real biological understanding takes decades, not news cycles. Think about the hype around resveratrol years ago, initial excitement, then more mixed human results and questions about dosage and relevance. Progress is real, but it's usually incremental.
But despite the need for skepticism, the underlying shift is real, isn't it?
Undeniably. The absolutely groundbreaking change is that aging is moving from being seen as this inevitable, untouchable process to being viewed as a modifiable biological condition, like high blood pressure or diabetes, something we can potentially understand, measure, and intervene in. That shift in perspective is revolutionary.
So smart skepticism means asking tough questions. Is this based on solid human data? Large, long-term studies? Who's funding it? What are the real risks versus potential benefits? Is it a replacement for the basics or maybe a complement down the line?
Exactly. Ask those questions, and if we zoom out, connect this all back to the bigger picture. It reinforces why health span is the goal, not just more years, but more good years, more vitality, less suffering. That improves quality of life for individuals and for society as a whole.
We've covered a huge amount of ground today, from those essential pillars, exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, things you can act on now.
The foundations.
Right, all the way to the frontiers, senolytics, epigenetic clocks, reprogramming the microbiome. What's the main thing that stands out to you from all this?
For me, it's the potential synergy. It's not just lifestyle or just biotech breakthroughs. The real future, I think, lies in integrating them, using lifestyle as the foundation, and then layering on validated scientific innovations as they become proven and available. It's the combination.
And the sheer momentum is striking. Those big prizes, the massive funding, the use of AI, it signals a real commitment, a mission-driven approach to tackling aging as a challenge, not just accepting it as fate.
Absolutely. Accountability for results is being built into the field now. So maybe the final thought for you to take away is this. What's one small step based on the proven basics we talked about that you can take today towards extending your own health span? One rigorously tested thing you can implement right now. Do that, build on it, while keeping a curious, hopeful, but also critical eye on the incredible science that's unfolding.
That's our deep dive into decoding the future of healthy aging. Thanks so much for joining us. We really hope this gives you some valuable insights to live long and, more importantly, feel good doing it.